Did the Dallas Cowboys get exposed yesterday in a loss to the Arizona Cardinals? The Rams squeaked by the Ravens, but can they rely on Matt Stafford in the postseason? And guys, Joe Burrow's big day meant Nick Wright's tough night. Bengals knocking the Chiefs out of the AFC's top spot. Dance like nobody's watching, Joe Burrow. Good Monday morning, everyone. Welcome to First Things First. Thank you for being here. Hey, thank me for being here. I am thrilled to be back. It is hard yelling at you guys.
Jenna's
from
back,
my
everybody.
Couch,
that's the
all
story.
I'm not doing that
that's
again.
That's right, Jenna.
I'm not
Jenna,
doing that.
Don't worry about this Bengals nonsense. Jenna's back.
Okay.
Jenna's back. That's the story.
All right.
Let's lead with that.
I saw this was all planned. Let us not say we did. Let us lead with our big story this morning. He is not back. You are right, Nick Wright. It happened in the middle of yesterday's Bucs-Jets game. Third quarter, Bucs struggling, down 24-10. This happened. Antonio Brown ripping off his gear, his jersey, his pads, his gloves, absolutely everything. He ran shirtless through the end zone. He did some jumping jacks. He gave the peace sign to the New York crowd before completely leaving the stadium. He did not return. Our Jake Glazer reporting this just talked to Bruce Arians, who said he was trying to get AB to go into the game, and AB refused, tried again, but he refused. And so Arians told him to get out. And when asked if he saw AB take his jersey off, Arians said, "Yeah, I did. Never seen anything like it in all my years." Arians, by the way, also quick to say afterwards, Antonio Brown no longer a Tampa Bay Buck, and he did not fly back with the team. Safe to say his days are done in Tampa. AB did post this afterwards, big mad, making a difference. Thanks for the opportunity. Guys, one of, if not the strangest exits we have ever seen in sports, period. Nick, I have asked you this a number of times before, but I will ask you again this morning. Will we ever see Antonio Brown in the NFL again?
I don't believe so. I believe that Antonio Brown, with this meltdown, the likes of which I've never seen either. Bruce Arians not the only one. I remember when Vontae Davis retired at halftime, but he did that in the privacy of his own locker room for a struggling team.
Quietly.
Antonio Brown on a team that is, depending on where you make your bets, the third or fourth favorite to win the Super Bowl. We've never seen anything like this. And I believe Antonio Brown, Broussard, cost himself the rest of his NFL career, so untold millions of dollars. I believe he cost himself any chance he had of making the Hall of Fame, and I believe he cost the Tampa Bay Bucs any realistic chance they had of returning to the Super Bowl. I think this is the final straw in the Bucs season, given their injuries on offense and their up and down play on defense. I also think, Broussard, that if we are being fair, if we are going to hold Tom Brady to the standards of which we hold, the other active GOAT, LeBron James, he's got to wear some of this too. LeBron gets tarred for bringing in a player that doesn't fit on the team on the court. Tom Brady went to bat for this guy multiple times, had him move into his house. The head coach didn't want him. They brought him in anyway. And it ended the way so many of us thought it would, with Antonio Brown making a fool of himself and hurting his team. So I think this is brutal. I think his career's over. And I think the Bucs season is closer to over than it has been at any point. We just don't know what round of the NFC playoffs they're going to go out in yet.
Well, first I'll address Tom Brady. Even if this is the end, and it was ugly, obviously, they got a Super Bowl. Like, AB helped them win that Super Bowl. So it was worth bringing him in, even if, we saw what happened yesterday. If this is the way it ends, and it clearly is in Tampa Bay, then it still was worth it. I don't blame Brady. I don't blame Arians for giving AB a shot. AB blew it. They gave him a chance and he blew it, just like Bill Belichick and Robert Kraft gave him a chance and John Gruden and the Raiders gave him a chance he blew it. That's on AD. I don't put that on anybody else. Now, I agree with most of what you said, Nick, about this being likely the last time we'll see him in the NFL. But there is one way I do think Antonio Brown could possibly get back to the league. And that is serious, major therapy. All right, not the whatever kind of unclear, ambiguous therapy he reportedly went through a couple years ago. Not what Ben Simmons may be going through in Philadelphia where you don't really know what's going on. He needs serious help. Like, he's a knucklehead. All right, and I'm not trying to defend him at all. I feel sorry for the dude. All right, what he did yesterday shows that he has serious mental problems. You just don't do that. All right, what he did, he's bothered mentally. And so if he went to serious therapy, and I'm talking about several months and longer, all right, and he gets major help, and then he comes out and he is contrite, he is repentant, there is evidence that he is a different person. Not some of the stuff we see from, in the past where, I'm sorry. No, there is real evidence that he's repentant and a different person, kind of like an AA type thing where you just know I was on the wrong path and you have an understanding of why you acted the way you did over the past several years. If there is that, then I think it's possible he could get back. The challenge would be his age. He's 33 right now. I definitely don't see him in the league next year. The earliest would be like the beginning of the 2023-24 season. He'll be 35 years old. So you wonder, would somebody take a chance on him at that point, Wilds? But I'm not willing to 100% close the door if AD gets serious help. And I mean serious mental help.
Yeah, no, I think you're 100% right, Broussard. If he goes and dedicates himself and comes out and says, you know what, I'm a new man and I repent for everything that I've done wrong and apologizes, yeah, I think a team will take a flyer on him for the same reason that the Bucs took a flyer on him. In March of 2020, when AB was looking at a suspension, Nick, remember, Coach Arians went on to WFAN with Tiki and Tierney, and he said, he was asked about AB. He said, yeah, it's not going to happen. There's no room, just not going to happen, just not a fit. I just know him, not a fit in our locker room. And he did it anyways. So a part of me thinks Bruce Arians obviously knew he was getting into, and he's sort of like a little bit of the Alonzo Mourning meme, like, this is terrible. Like, well, I did get his Super Bowl. The question is this, moving forward now, do you think the Bucs have enough weapons to actually compete? No. You seem to be writing them off. Is it just an offense thing, or do you think there's like a real division in the locker room?
No, I don't think it's a division in the locker room. I don't think the defense is great. I don't think it's anything close to the defense of last year. I watched the Jets and Zach Wilson look like a real live NFL offense for 58 minutes yesterday before they blew it. That's no good. Right now, you have Mike Evans, who, as great as he is, the biggest question with him is availability and injury. And then after that, you go from one of the deepest receiving cores in the league. Godwin's gone, AB's gone. Rashad Perriman is who we're going to. I know we loved Scotty Too Hottie Miller in the playoffs last year. He's nowhere to be found this season. You look at the NFC playoff teams, the 5 teams that matter, the Cowboys, Cardinals, Rams, Packers, and Bucks. The Bucks, without question now, have the worst group of wide receivers. That's not even debatable. The Cardinals have a better group even without DeAndre Hopkins because they have Christian Kirk and A.J. Green. I think this is a huge problem for them, which is why, and I understand the point Broussard made, which is they got a Super Bowl. But they had already won the Super Bowl when they brought him back after the vaccination card nonsense. They wouldn't have taken that away. They could have cut him then, as they should have, better prepared for this moment. Listen, this was coming. And yes, it is possible if AB goes through all those steps. It's also possible if he sprouts wings, he becomes unguardable because he can fly down the field. I look at those two as just as likely as the other. And it is, and I'm not trying to harp too much on this point, Broussard, but we've got to, we do have to, the point I made about Brady, I think is a fair one. Why did Arians change his mind? Because Brady wanted him to. Why did they keep giving him, Arians after changing his mind and being embarrassed, I think, by that, said he can screw up once. And then the guy has a fake vaccine scandal and he's like, okay, maybe twice. Like, it is not unreasonable to ask how much of this should Tom wear? Because this was Tom's guy. They brought in and not a big position of need, and it went this way. You think that's crazy? You think that's crazy that if you bring in a malcontent who's worn out his welcome elsewhere, and then it goes like this, that it's not on the guy who brought him in?
Not at all. First of all, like I said, you got a Super Bowl. Secondly, you controlled him. I hate to even use that word, but for what? A year and a half, a season and a half, he was fine. He didn't last that long in New England. He didn't last that long with the Raiders. So you still got more out of him than any of those teams, even with the way it ended. No, I don't put this on Brady at all. Like I said, they gave him a chance. He screwed it up. And Nick, it's not like they took away, like they lost a great player and put Antonio Brown in his place. All right. It was no sweat off their back that they had AB there. All right. He's gone now. It hurts them.
A little sweat.
But it's like, they're fine. I think they're fine. I don't put it on Brady at all.
Okay. Well, I don't think they're, okay. Well, then, I just live in a crazy
They're not
world.
fine. It's going to hurt them to lose him. We'll talk.
No, but none of it being on Brady. Well, I don't know, but I understand, and I understand that we have all decided that we're going to hold LeBron to a different standard than every other basketball player because he's better than all the active basketball players. But you have Brady, the greatest player ever. Can he be held to the LeBron standard? Because LeBron is getting crushed on Russ. Russ has not been a bad citizen. He's been a bad fit.
Russ is hurting them on the court.
We don't think it's going to work.
Russ is hurting them on the court.
This hurts them.
And I haven't killed LeBron for Russ, but
in a game they almost lost. This hurts them on the field, man. This hurts them on the field. Does it not? That's a roster spot that's now wasted.
Once again,
when Russ helps them get a finals,
we are giving Mike Tomlin
it'll be the same.
Okay.
So much credit for what he did in Pittsburgh. All right, we got a lot going on a Monday morning. I promise we'll get back to this. We will talk more about it. Still to come, the Rams beat the Ravens, but they do it despite Matt Stafford. First things first on a fired up Monday morning. First things first, time for eye openers. Chris Broussard, who opened your eyes on Sunday?
Matthew Stafford, Jenna, LA Rams quarterback. Now look, Sean McVay took the glass half full approach after the game and, praised Stafford for the 9-play, 75-yard game-winning drive that ended with a 7-yard touchdown pass to OBJ. Stafford, to his credit, was 6 of 6 for 70 yards on that drive, so he was fine there. But the reason they needed those late-game heroics to beat a Baltimore Ravens team that's reeling without Lamar Jackson was because Stafford was bad throughout the game. 2 interceptions and a fumble in the first 3 quarters. And I've got major concerns. Call me skeptical, but I've got concerns about whether or not Stafford can handle the pressure, can handle the big stage, all right? As these games have increased in intensity and importance, look at him. First 8 games of the season, terrific. 22 TDs, 4 picks. Last 8, 16 TDs, 11 picks. Yesterday threw his 4th pick 6 of the season. And I'm really concerned about this. Matthew Stafford is a guy that in the regular season, he has a 2-to-1 TD to interception ratio for his career, Nick. In his 3 playoff games with Detroit, all losses, 4 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. So there is evidence that when the lights are bright and the stakes are high, Matthew Stafford won't be as good as people expect. And that opened my eyes yesterday.
Yeah, the Rams won despite Stafford. And I think it's also, just to build off this point quickly, I think it's fair to ask this question. Where would the Rams be without Odell Beckham Jr.? Odell had the key 4th down catch and then the game-winning touchdown catch. And look at this stat here. This is kind of an Odell stat. It's really a Baker Mayfield stat. Look at that. One more touchdown and Stafford will have as many touchdowns as Baker did to Odell. He was there for 2.5 years. Like, what? Really? That's what's happening here? That is what's happening here. Odell is not getting high volume targets, but he's getting red zone targets, which he never got in Cleveland. But the quarterback who opened my eyes, Wilds, Broussard, at some point, it's going to be tiring to be so right about so many quarterbacks. I mean, I watched Carson Wentz yesterday, and I was like, I told you guys. You know, the Stafford thing, I was like, I told you guys. And then, did you see the kid in San Francisco? Trey Lance. First real NFL action that matters, a start. Oh, did he play perfect? No. But those are pretty good numbers. Did he get better as the game went on? Oh, let me see the second half numbers. How did he do in the second half? Oh my goodness gracious. That is almost perfect quarterbacking.
Good.
Now, I can't prove this, but I do believe there was a moment in the game when Kyle Shanahan had to hand over play calling because his mouth was watering so much he couldn't get the plays in because he's like, oh my God, look at what I can do now that Jimmy G's not out there. Mark it down, Wilds. Trey Lance is going to start week 18 against the Rams. We know the Niners own the Rams. Shanahan owns McVay. Get them into the playoffs and be a little dangerous. Like a hot stove can burn you, but it can also burn the other team.
It was the Texans, Nick. It was the Texans.
What? A little, frisky Texans. Hey, Davis
Mills.
It was the Texans. Hey, I'm just letting you know right now. Guys, at some point, you're going to say, when people ask you about the show, and they're like, is Nick really that obnoxious? You're going to be like, yes. They're like, is there anything good about him? You're going to be like, well, he's obviously impeccably dressed all the time. And his gut feeling for quarterbacks, his quarterback radar, who's good, who's bad, it's the best you've ever seen.
You got it.
I tried to tell you guys, Jimmy G ain't got it. Trey Lance got it.
Son look yesterday.
I barely caught that game. Hey, Broussard, fun fact. Did you know that the Patriots and the Chiefs both had 28 points at halftime? And then the Patriots went on behind the baby goat to score 50 points, and the Chiefs scored 1 field goal and lost. So there you go. That was a little mark on your record there, Nicholas. You were so close, except you got the baby goat wrong. And
wild card teams don't.
Moving on.
Wild card teams, until you're leading a division, I don't want to hear from you. You're in the peanut gallery. Until you're leading the division, I don't want to. You don't talk about the Chiefs. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Here's my answer. At some point, and I like collecting stuff too, but at some point we have crossed the threshold to the game ends and then it turns into a sports collectors convention instead of the end of a football game. And we crossed the threshold yesterday, Broussard, because I get the jersey exchange. But first, let me bring it to the second quarter. Tom Brady in New Jersey throws an interception and it's picked off by rookie Brandon Echols. Okay, hey, good job, little underthrow. Good moment for Brandon Echols. After the game, Brandon somehow finds a Sharpie and asks Brady to sign his own interception, which he does. At first, I thought he was just getting an autograph. Then we realized he was actually having the ball that he intercepted autograph. But Broussard, I feel like this is a loss for everyone. It's a loss for Brady. All of a sudden, he's signing his own interception. That's a loss. It's a loss for Brandon. They just lost the game, and he's out here getting autographs. I understand he's the GOAT. You're young, you're a rookie, but it's too much for me. Was it too much for you?
I don't think it's a loss for Brady. It showed, he wouldn't have done it had they lost the game. He was feeling good after that game-winning touchdown pass, so he did it. But here's what Echols should have done. He should have gone to him after the game. All right? And if you had, and I don't mean send the ball boy to get him to sign it, because Brady might have said no. But Echols go himself after the game to the locker room, and then get Brady to do it. I don't like that he did it out here publicly on the field. That's my only problem.
I also think, Wilds, this is a rookie mistake by Brady because he's signing the ball. So now there's literally signatory evidence that is the game ball. So if that ball ends up being involved in, some type of deflating investigation, Brady's not going to have any deniability. Brady's not going to be able to say, no, that's not for the... They're like, well, literally your name's on it. Like, you've literally signed the ball. So, like, I'm not saying the Jets should check the PSI. I'm just saying maybe
that was a ball
send
he
it
threw
in
an interception with.
Not a great look for either side. This is a great look. This is a great look right here. I like this. Joe Burrow opening my eyes yesterday, but was yesterday's win more about the Chiefs than the Bengals? First things first, get your groove on, Mr. Burrow. Time now for our Prime Performance, sponsored by Whole Foods Market. Be healthy, be happy, be whole. Chiefs Bengals yesterday. This game nearly gave me a heart attack. Can I just say, Joe Burrow to Jamar Chase is supreme entertainment. Chase racked up 266 yards receiving, 3 touchdowns. My girls would tell you Chase was on the case yesterday. Bengals would not go away. They pulled this one out late. Cincinnati snapping the Chiefs, 8-game win streak, clinching the AFC North in the process. I just did a Chiefs story with a Paw Patrol mention. With the loss now, KC knocked out of the AFC's top spot, now held by the Titans of all teams. We got 1 week to go, guys. We got Mike Vick with us. Mike's going to help break all Sunday's action down, but Nick, I got to start with you, and why not? Who did Cincy's win say more about? Your Chiefs or the Bengals?
I believe it said more about the Bengals, but let me first say, I don't want to disregard this. This was a damaging loss for the Chiefs. It's not because they are going to lose their first round playoff game that they wouldn't have had to play. It's just the additional playoff game by not having the bye is more chance for injury, more chance for randomness, more chance for wear and tear. And now the only path the Chiefs have to the bye involves Davis Mills. And while I am impressed by Davis Mills' neck size at times, the Texans are not a great team. Involves Davis Mills and the Texans beating the Titans. So the Chiefs are probably going to be the 2 seed. They are probably not going to have a bye, which would mean for the first time in his career, Mahomes has to play a wild card weekend game. Every playoff game he's ever played has been at home, and every playoff game has been round 2 or further because they've always had the bye. So it is a damaging loss. But Mike, that is not the story. The story is Jamar Chase just had, I believe, the greatest game a rookie receiver has ever had. I think this trumps what Randy did on Thanksgiving in that famous game against the Cowboys where he had 3 catches for 3 touchdowns and $160. He is in the midst of arguably the greatest rookie season any receiver has ever had. And if there was any questions left about if Burrow to Chase is going to be one of the most devastating quarterback wide receiver combos for the next decade, those questions are done now. So to me, this story was the Bengals with, one could argue the best win for the franchise in 20 plus years, beating the Chiefs in a game they were down 2 scores at one point and doing it because their number 1 pick of the draft from a couple years ago and their top 10 pick of the draft, who were college teammates together, were absolutely unguardable, including on that 3rd and 27. Mike, can they double him on 3rd and 27? I understand Spags doesn't like doubling guys. Can we double him on 3rd and 27, Mike? Maybe, possibly, who knows? But it's about the Bengals, I think.
You're right, Nick. This is about the Cincinnati Bengals and the dynamic duo that's been created with Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow. And, I thought about this at arm's length, and I had to go back and watch a couple clips. And even watching this right now, they couldn't stop Jamar Chase in man of zone. I thought the issue with the Kansas City Chiefs was them not being able to play more zone than man, because it's dangerous to play Jamar Chase in man-to-man coverage. And when the game was on the line at the end of the game, they lined up in man across the board as if they didn't learn their lesson. So the Cincinnati Bengals took advantage of that. And what Jamar Chase does is open it up for everybody else. So while this is going to be a dynamic duo, it's going to open up for the rest of the offense, and it's going to open up for the rest of the receivers to have a lot of success in the future. This is going to be so fun to watch.
All right, everybody knows that, like Nick, I picked the Chiefs in the preseason to win the Super Bowl. I'm sticking with that pick. I still feel good about it. I actually think, Nick, that this could be a wake-up call for them. This is a nice wake-up call for them after winning, 8 straight games, maybe feeling really good about themselves. Going into the playoffs, I think this was good for them. So I'm not too concerned there. They're not unbeatable in the AFC playoffs. But I think this is good for him. But I agree with you guys. It said more about the Bengals. And here's what I'll say. I have not, to this point, as impressive as they've been in some of their wins, putting up 41 points several times against good defenses, I have not really considered them a threat to reach the Super Bowl. Now I think they have a shot. Usually, historically, you wouldn't think teams go from not making the playoffs to the Super Bowl. It's actually happened 3 times in the last 4 Super Bowls. Now, Tampa Bay last year getting Brady is that's an outlier because they added the GOAT and a few other players. San Francisco, when they did it with Garoppolo, they got healthy. They were injured and banged up the year before. But Philadelphia, remember, did it in 2017 from no playoffs to the Super Bowl, winning it. So that's possible. And it's possible. You guys said it all about Jamar Chase. Obviously, he's a problem for whoever's facing them. But Joe Burrow, for him to go and throw for 446 and 4 touchdowns against a Chiefs defense that hadn't given up 300 yards passing since Josh Allen did it when the Chiefs were struggling mightily in October, says a lot. And this guy, Nick, we almost did the topic of Justin Herbert or Joe Burrow, who you got. And I had Joe Burrow, and I'm feeling really good about that now because I like his swagger. I like his confidence. When everybody said, don't go to Cincinnati, you should sit out, he said, I can go there and change the culture. And that's what this guy has done. And so with Burrow, with Chase, Mixon is an outstanding running back. And the defense, Wilds, the pass defense has been bad for Cincinnati this year. And yet they go ahead and hold Patrick Mahomes to 0 touchdowns passing over the last 3 quarters and just 3 points in the second half. My point is that Cincinnati is a real threat in the AFC.
I agree. Nick, I'm gonna ask you about the 3 points thing because I needled you on it in our pre-show call. Was that worrisome at all? Because we were texting and we thought the game was over. I texted you. I said once Mahomes easily picked up a first down on I think it was first and 20. He's like, no problem, bingo. 3rd and 20. I was like, this game's over. He can just dice him up. And all of a sudden, Bengals offense kept picking up, and Chiefs offense flattened out. Did that worry you at all?
No, listen, again, I want to make this clear. The bye matters, and the Chiefs probably cost themselves the bye yesterday. And football's a brutal sport, and guys get banged up. And so the Chiefs' chances, just mathematical chances of winning the Super Bowl, went down yesterday just by virtue of the fact they are now likely going to have to play an extra game. I am not worried about the Chiefs' offense. I think what happened in this game, Mike, was the end of the first half, they thought they had won the game. They had the kick return, and it gets called back because of a tough holding call. And then Mahomes throws an impossible pass. 65 yards in the air, hash mark to opposite hash mark, to get him in field goal range with a few seconds left, and Tyreek just drops it. And it felt to me like they came out flat in the second half, and they were waiting for the defense to make a stop, and the stop never came. With all that said, Mike, I do believe as bad as the offense was in the second half, if the Bengals had scored earlier on that final drive, which took forever, I think the Chiefs were going to get the ball and drive back down the field. So, no, I'm not worried about what this game says about the Chiefs. I think they've built up enough equity over the last 2.5 months and over the last 2.5 years to where I'm not worried about that. It's just damaging because now they're playing a round 1 playoff game unless the Titans lose to the Texans next weekend.
Yeah, the road to the Super Bowl would have been a lot easier if they would have won that game yesterday. And I actually picked Kansas City to win that game. And I'm with Chris on this in terms of, my lack of belief in the Cincinnati Bengals over the last 5 or 6 weeks. It was up and down roller coaster type of season for them. They win some, lose some, and I got to give a shout out to Coach Dave Wanstead. He hammered it home about Joe Mixon each and every week, and now he shows up. That run game complements the pass game, and now you got a dynamic duo with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, and a good football team that's going to be competitive in the playoffs. So I'm excited about this. Teams got to look out for the Cincinnati Bengals.
I want to say one other thing, and I am not one typically to criticize this quarterback. People know how much I like this quarterback. People may not know this, but they'll know it now. I once spent an evening before a Super Bowl having probably a few too many drinks with this quarterback. I think he is a great young player. But I did not like how the quarterback after the game put it on the officiating. And we have the audio, we can play it for you. His repeated mentioning of the officiating, we'll just listen to it. I didn't love it, so let's play it.
We got a little lucky at the end. We got some calls. But sometimes you got to get a little lucky. We had a great drive. Didn't finish it off the way we wanted to, but got some calls.
Oh, did you get some calls? Oh, you got some calls, you think?
Okay.
The officiating was an abomination. Give me a break.
Yep.
An obvious false start. How many phantom pass interference calls you're going to get? Don't take my word for it. That was Joe Burrow's word for it. Give me a break with the officiating. My God. What a gift.
The football gods sometimes, Nick.
That was a travesty
the football gods.
I kid you not, my dad texted me during the game and said Nick's going to be so mad about the officiating in this one. He's so on board with you and your wants and needs these days. It's actually very annoying.
And Joe Burrow.
You, Joe Burrow, and my dad, we got to hand out some NBA medals. DeMar DeRozan, man, what about a prime candidate for these medals? He hit a buzzer beater off one leg to beat the Pacers Friday night. Followed it up with a contested corner three Saturday night to beat the Wizards. Wait, first player in NBA history with game-winning buzzer beaters on consecutive days. And somehow, Nick didn't win a medal? He didn't win a medal, Nick. Who did it better than DeMar DeRozan?
How?
He didn't. Well, here's the thing. It is not cumulative. He might have had the best weekend, but the medals are individual games for individual days. DeMar, you get all this love here. Good for you. Your team's the 1 seed. We're happy for you. But you are not as good as Giannis, who gets the bronze. Giannis Antetokounmpo this weekend. What did Giannis do? 35, 16, and 10 for the best player in the league in a nice dominating win over the Pelicans. That's worthy of a bronze. What did Jaylen Brown do last night? 6 in a game that, listen, you're not supposed to need overtime to beat the dominating Magic, even though Wilds thinks they're a playoff contender, but you did, and you would have lost if not. Jaylen Brown's 50 points. 50 points. How did that not get the gold? Well, here's how it didn't get the gold. Gold medal, LeBron James. 43, 14, and 4. Do we have LeBron? LeBron James for the gold? I think we have LeBron for the gold.
We know what LeBron
James,
like.
there
he
it is. With the gold. No. We've got to tell you what he did, Jenna. Here's what he did. What if the first day he was a 37-year-old, he had the best game in league history for a 37-year-old? That's not my opinion. That's the good people at Basketball Reference, which said LeBron's 40 game score is the greatest game score ever for someone 37 or older in NBA history. The king, stay the king. He probably should be Western Conference Player of the Month. There's the medal stand from this weekend with respect to DeMar DeRozan.
That is why DeMar DeRozan did not win himself a medal. LeBron.
LeBron.
All right, Nick, thank you very much.
LeBron was great.
We got to take a turn. We got to talk some Dallas Cowboys and whether or not Dak and the boys already cost themselves a shot at the Super Bowl. First things first on a Monday morning. Hey, another close game yesterday back in the NFL. Kyler and the Cardinals in Dallas facing Dak and the Cowboys. I've been saying these lines to nobody all week. Just got no response. Not the good Dak that we saw last week when Dallas put up 56 points. This was the head-scratching Dak. Dak, what are you doing, Dak? He fumbled away a chance in the fourth quarter, down only 8. Then with just over 2 minutes left, Chase Edmonds, here it is, may have fumbled this football. Now, they ruled him down. Cowboys were like, challenge. Nope, Cowboys didn't challenge. Why, Nick? Because Mike McCarthy had no timeouts left. Tough look for Mike McCarthy. Cardinals win 25-22. We'll get to you, Nick. You're all fired up. Broussard, what was the biggest concern from the Cowboys' loss on Sunday? Dak or McCarthy?
Well, look, I'm not going to defend Mike McCarthy and his lack of time management or timeout management, whatever you want to call it. But I'm going to say Dak Prescott. Look, the numbers don't tell the story of Dak's poor play. He had over 200 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. So if you just look at the box score, you think, Dak was pretty good. No, he wasn't. He was inaccurate all night. He had several passes deflected at the line of scrimmage. He looked more like the guy that's been struggling since he got back from the calf injury than the guy we saw a week ago light up the Washington football team. And let me remind everybody, that's a 6-10 Washington football team. Everybody wanted to put them in the Super Bowl after Dallas ran over them last week. But no, that team is a bad team, and we got to see what they can do against a good team, and it wasn't pretty. And Dak Prescott, you guys know I've pounded this, and I like Dak. I've been saying for the last 2 years that Dak Prescott is en route to becoming elite, en route to becoming a guy that can carry the team on his shoulders against good teams when the running game isn't there. But guess what? He isn't there yet. He's not. And that is a problem. Once again, they meet a good team and Dak can't get it done and they lose. He entered this season, Nick, 13-20 against teams with winning records. And this year he is 2-4 against teams with winning records. And they've lost their last 3 against such teams. And Dak needs a running game. It's as simple as that. And yesterday they didn't get it, and I'm not sure they're going to get it in the playoffs. They have 45 yards rushing yesterday. Ezekiel Elliott, in 7 of the last 8 games, Nick, he has failed to get 4 yards a carry. So Tony Pollard, I don't know if he's not the same because of the foot or what, but they have problems. So, yeah, I'm concerned about Dak and his ability to lead them in the playoffs to victories.
Oh, it's a crushing loss for them. If they won, they would likely be the 2 seed. Instead, now they're almost assuredly the 4 seed. That is a brutal spot. As the 2 seed, you're playing either Philly or San Francisco or New Orleans. As the 4 seed, you're playing Arizona or the Rams in round 1. We just saw Arizona beat them. The Rams obviously could beat them. It's a brutal loss for them. And on Dak, I actually was talking with Cowherd about this last night, which was Mahomes, Rodgers, Brady, for their whole careers have been ahead of Dak. But then, it was like, hey, is Dak the next guy on that list? Like Russell Wilson takes a step back. But now it feels like Dak got jumped in the line. Like Herbert's better than him, I think. Burrow might be better than him. Some people I wouldn't, but some people would say Josh Allen's better than him. Like that Dak, while he's supposed to be in the prime of his career, he didn't only not catch up to the guys who are already better than him, but some new wave of quarterbacks came in. Is Kyler better than him? Certainly some people would say absolutely. So right. I think there are legit concerns about Dak. But Wilds, that is not the story. The story is Mike McCarthy and his nonsense clock timeout game management cost him again. And it cost him in the most mortifying fashion possible. Why didn't they have a timeout here to either stop the clock and have a chance to get the ball back or challenge and maybe win the challenge to get the ball back? You didn't have a timeout because you got tricked. You got outmaneuvered by Cliff Kingsbury. You lost a game of I Spy to Mr. Magoo. How do you let that happen, my friend? You let Cliff Kingsbury ran a play where he has Matt Prater lined up as the wide receiver, and McCarthy panicked. He panicked and blew a timeout. Timeouts in the second half, when you're trailing, much less trailing by 2 scores, they're worth more than gold. They are worth more than Bitcoin. You hold on to them. You do not let them go. You caress them and you say, I'm going to need you later, precious timeout. I'm not going to blow it because I'm worried the Cardinals are about to run a 4th and 5 from the 8 with Prater running a dig route. What are you doing, McCarthy? So listen, sometimes the train is never late. And the Mike McCarthy game management train is never late, my friend. And it would be funny if it wasn't so sad. There's a good Cowboys team that should be better than their current record. And some of us have only been saying it, dating back to when McCarthy was living in the barn, pretending to watch game film and then studying advanced analytics when he should have actually just been playing Madden. You know what they should have set up in the barn? And forget a PS5, an old PS2, and McCarthy, you're in here until you can win 6 in a row against a junior high student. You can't come out until you do that. And so, yeah, it's McCarthy, man. It's McCarthy.
Okay. Was he living in the barn, or he would just go to the barn to study film? I never realized.
He was living
spent
there.
many hours in the barn.
Yeah.
I think he had a cot.
Him and Mac Jones. Surprised you didn't see Mac Jones there. Hey, sorry. I think this is why I'm not so down on Dak. Dak didn't play great, dirted a few passes. But if the refs either get that call right, or McCarthy somehow holds on to a timeout and challenges, I think it would have been an overturn. And I think the Cowboys win. I think that it's such a demoralizing turnover for the Cardinals. And I know we're playing what if, and this could have happened. But that's why I still think if Dak wins that game, we sort of erase the rest of the poor game he had. The same way Tom Brady didn't have a great game, but he leads an ending drive. Like, oh, yeah, Tom Brady's still the GOAT. It's all fine. So do you think that the lack of a turnover robbed Dak of an opportunity to win the game? Because I do.
I don't think the Cowboys were going to win that game. They obviously had a nice little rally, but they were outplayed for the most part the whole game. It was bad. Maybe they would have come back and won, but I think that this, again, a nice wake-up call. Remember I said last week, if Arizona loses this game, it's a disaster. If the Cowboys lose it, it's a wake-up call. They have to look in the mirror. They beat 4 pretty, mediocre teams, and everybody start thinking they're going to the Super Bowl, right? And so now they need to realize we're not quite what we thought we were. And the defense, Wilds, everyone was praising the defense. Oh my God, oh gosh, look at this defense. They're giving up. I mentioned the 6 games they played against teams with winning records. Dak's 2-4. They've given up 26 points a game to those 6 winning teams. All right, against the losing teams that they play, they've given up 17 points a game. So the defense has been getting fat and happy against scrubs for the most part. I know they held Kansas City to 19, but the defense isn't as good as we all thought it was either. So this is good. Go back to the drawing board. Maybe somebody can get McCarthy a game of Madden over the next week or two, Nick, and then they can get themselves together.
He's not allowed. No, McCarthy's game pass has been revoked. He's not allowed. This is terrible for Dallas. I just want to be very, very clear about this. They are now going to, in round 1, be playing either the Rams or the Cardinals. We know that with like 98% certainty. If they win that game, they will then either be going to Green Bay or to Tampa. The Cowboys had to be a top 2 seed to have a chance to overcome their obvious coaching deficiency, and one could argue, of the quarterbacks of the 5 NFC teams that matter, Dak's not playing like the best one. Is he playing like the worst one? Stafford's had some struggles, Kyler's had some struggles, but Dak's right in there. They had to be a top 2 seed, Jenna. They're now going to be the 4 seed. They are more likely to lose in round 1 now than to go to the conference championship game. It's a disaster.
Saturday on Fox, UConn battling number 15 Seton Hall in a big Big East tilt. Then it's a heated Big Ten in-state showdown between number 10 Michigan State and Michigan. Huge day of college hoops tipping off Saturday, 11:30 Eastern on Fox and the Fox Sports app. All right, stories to start your morning, sponsored by Ram Trucks, built to serve. Let's talk some Chiefs at Bengals yesterday. This This game nearly gave me a heart attack. At the very end, it lasted like an hour. Can I just say, Joe Burrow to Jamar Chase is just great entertainment. Chase racked up 266 yards receiving and 3 touchdowns. The Bengals would not go away in this one. They pulled it out late. They win. Cincinnati snapping the Chiefs' 8-game win streak and clinching the AFC North in the process. So with the loss, the Chiefs knocked out of the AFC's top spot.
The Chargers.
Now held by the Titans of all teams with 1 week to go. Nick Wright, who did Cincinnati's crucial win yesterday say more about? The Chiefs or the Bengals? Go, Joe. Go, Joe.
Jenna,
Go, Joe.
I'm not happy right now. And I want to give credit where it's due.
What's wrong?
But I don't like that graphic you just showed me. There's a lot of parts of it that cause me a little trepidation. I don't like that the Chiefs are not the 1 seed. Patrick Mahomes has never had to play Wild Card Weekend. That's for peasants. That's for the birds. Wild Card Weekend, we kick our feet up and we watch other teams beat each other up. But now, we're going to have to rely on Davis Mills, David Culley, and the Texans to beat the Titans, or else we're going to be playing Wild Card Weekend. It's an insult. Here's the other thing I don't like if you show that standings graphic again. I don't know if you guys know, I'm the only person left, evidently. The Chargers concern me. I don't like the Chargers. Give me the Colts. For the love of God, give me the Raiders. But I spent an hour this morning on the little playoff calculator. The Raiders somehow are either out of the playoffs or the 6th seed. There's no scenario where they're the 7th seed that I could find. So you don't even get the Raiders. So I don't love any of this. I don't love it. Now, it just makes for a better story. Chiefs will be fine, but I don't love it. I had plans Wild Card Weekend. It didn't involve watching the Chiefs, and now it will. However, set my own personal issues aside, I did. I had big plans. The bigger story is the Bengals. That's their biggest win for the franchise, I don't know, since Boomer was there. And Jamar Chase is going to have a credible case that he just had a greater rookie season than any receiver ever. He's certainly the best rookie season I've ever seen with respect to Odell and with respect to Justin Jefferson was Randy. Randy in 98 was just a revelation. Well, look at the numbers. He's got more yards. The yards per catch are similar. Now, Randy obviously has him in touchdowns. Jamar's got him in catches. It's close. And I think that's the story. He just had the greatest receiving game a rookie's ever had, beating Randy on Thanksgiving, that iconic 3-catch, 3-touchdown, 160-yard performance. But to me, this story is, and I'm wearing, I'm honoring the Bengals in my wardrobe this morning, Broussard, the arrival of the Bengals. And the Bengals saying, we're not going anywhere, for the next decade or so. Burrow to Chase is going to be a problem. Maybe not 266 yards converting 3rd and 27s, the problem, but a problem for the entire AFC North, for the entire AFC, and for the entire NFL for the next decade or so. And by the way, I have to admit when I'm wrong, because I'm right so often, so I have to admit when I'm wrong. I didn't think they should draft him. I thought they needed an offensive lineman, and they do need an offensive lineman, but they said we can't pass up this connection. They were proven dead right.
Nick, I could gloat. I could gloat if I wanted, because everybody knows, I'm from Cleveland, but I'm also from Cincinnati. I lived in Cincinnati as a kid for 7 years.
What?
Right? So I could.
When did that happen?
I moved around, boy. I was a traveling man as a youngster. I was all over the place.
All the playoff contenders.
So yeah, born there.
All the playoff contending cities.
I've been all around. You just don't know. Let some of my teams start winning, and you'll find out where I used to live. Yeah. All right, but Cincinnati, I won't.
We're doing that
because I like Nick. I picked the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl just like you did in the preseason. I feel good about it. All right, it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be a cakewalk, but they still are the rightful favorites in the AFC to get out of there. Okay. Now, you're right, though, Nick, in that the story is the Bengals. The Bengals are for real, and I've written them off. Yeah, okay, I think they'll probably make the playoffs, these last few weeks. But I have not given them any chance whatsoever of getting to the Super Bowl. While I got the Chiefs as the favorite, I think now, and Nick, I don't know why you're scared of the Chargers. I mean, Justin Herbert's nice. I'm taking Joe Burrow as better than Herbert. We'll do that discussion some other time. We're going to do it last week. I'm going with Burrow. And I do think because of Burrow, because of Chase, they are a legitimate threat to reach the Super Bowl. Not the favorites, but they're dangerous. 3 of the last 4 Super Bowls, guys, we have had a team that's been out of the playoffs the previous season and then get to the Super Bowl the next season. And the one you really look at is Philadelphia back in 2017 because Tampa Bay obviously added Tom Brady. San Francisco got healthy. But still, it's happened regularly of late, and the Bengals are a threat to do it. And I'm going to give their defense a little love, Wilds, because the pass defense hasn't been great this year. But yesterday, when they needed to show up, they held Patrick Mahomes without a passing touchdown over the last 3 quarters. They held the Chiefs to 3 points in the second half, and they were down by 14 several times. And they didn't give up. And I credit Joe Burrow with that. He's changed the culture. He's confident. He's got swagger. He believes in himself and his teammates. And this guy is he's got the physical traits, Wilds, and the intangibles to be a great quarterback. They are dangerous.
Well, the intangibles are off the charts. When he showed up last week in a Santa hat, I'm like, man, if you're going to show up in a Santa hat, you better play well. And he did. Showed up this week with a T-shirt of his wide receivers as basically a warning, like, this is what's going to happen to you, Chiefs. And that's what happened. But Nick, you know what they say, like, comparison is the thief of joy? I think Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase handed out losses to other people who weren't even on the field playing them. Like, yeah, the Chiefs lost, but they didn't, you were the victim of a historical performance. Here are the other losers, I think, from that game. One, I think, was the Browns. The Browns drafted a star quarterback, too, and they were constantly waiting to see something. And they're still having this discussion. Is it going to happen with Baker? What do we think? Yeah, if it was going to happen, it would have happened, and you just saw it. Baker Odell is not even remotely close to Joe Burrow and Chase. Here's the other thing. All the other rookie quarterbacks, because we saw this with Joe Burrow last year before he was hurt. We knew, Joe Burrow's the real deal. Joe Burrow still got it. Yep. Have you seen any of that from Zach Wilson, from Trevor Lawrence, who just got embarrassed in Foxborough? I haven't. And Joe Burrow came right away.
Tua? Same draft class. Tua was a disaster yesterday.
You could throw Tua in there.
I want to root for Tua, but I feel like you've seen Tua's ceiling already. So I felt like Joe Burrow gave losses to all the other rookie quarterbacks, gave a loss to the Browns, and gave a loss to the Chiefs.
No, I think all that's true, and which is why I thought it was so unfortunate. And you guys know how much I like this quarterback. But that after the game, instead of focusing on what was a unprecedented performance, they convert the 3rd and 27. It's just an unbelievable close for the Bengals. I thought it was unfortunate that the quarterback was focused on the officiating. And I mean, I don't know if you guys were watching after the game. A lot of games going on. We can play you the audio real quick here.
We got a little lucky at the end. We got some calls. But sometimes you got to get a little lucky. We had a great drive. Didn't finish it off the way we wanted to, but got some calls.
Oh, you don't say! You got some calls, did you, Joey B? False start doesn't count anymore. We're once again, hey, Nance and Romo, memo to the CBS truck. When the Chiefs are playing tight fourth quarters and there's a phantom DPI call, give us a replay. I'm still waiting for the one against the Chargers from week 3, and now we don't have one against the Bengals. Decided the game. Yeah, you think the calls mattered? You think he got a little lucky? Choke on that cigar, Joey B. I still like him, but give me a break.
We gotta go. Skip and Shannon up next. Here comes Undisputed. See you tomorrow.